I'm Erin Earth. Welcome to my channel. If you would like to get notifications that I've uploaded new content, please subscribe. And I'd also like to take a moment here to just thank all of my subscribers. It means a lot to me. It's taken a long time to get to just this number of like 800-900, but I appreciate all of you, each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Today I'm going to talk to you about why I am a vegetarian and my journey into vegetarianism. As most of us did, I grew up in a meat-eating house, not consciously questioning what I was fed. I was never one to look forward to the meat dish most of the time, but did often look forward to the vegetable side dishes. They always seemed more tasty to me and certainly easier for me to chew. A lot of times growing up, chewing meat would literally fatigue my jaws. Sometimes even fruit will fatigue my jaws. I'd have to take short chewing breaks between, eating pieces of meat and then resume chewing it down enough to feel comfortable swallowing it. I didn't know until later in life that this was because modern humans consume mostly the muscle meat of the animal, which is chewy and nutrient deficient, rather than eating what the actual top carnivorous predators thrive upon, which is the soft organs of the animal, which are nutritious. Until the age of 22, I had never even met a vegetarian. I grew up in a very isolated rural part of Illinois. And when I finally did meet a vegetarian, this person told me that she simply chose not to eat meat, not for any moral reason, but just because she didn't like it. In that moment, it suddenly dawned on me that I myself could also make this choice. And it seemed like a good choice for me. I realized that I too could possibly be a non-meat eater, also known as a vegetarian. This new awareness felt very comfortable and natural for my personality and for my biology. This person that was the first vegetarian that I ever met quickly told me that she did not do it for ethical reasons. I thought that was an odd thing for her to point out, but of course I kept listening. She said that she did it because she just didn't like meat. It flashed into my own mind in that moment what my own reasons for not eating meat would be. The first thing was a very basic realization that I would not be eating animals anymore, that I would be free from this custom, this habit of humans to eat the flesh of other animals. I love animals and don't and didn't want to be involved in their suffering through their killing and then the consumption of their bodies. Animals have always been my weakness in this creation, a devastating concern of mine since my earliest memories of lying awake on winter nights worrying about farm animals, people's pets, wild animals, squirrels, rabbits, stray animals, and how they could stand the brutal winters and lack of food they faced in their everyday lives. How dogs that are left outside and lonely cope with their traumas. Their traumas were not absent from my child mind and are not absent from my adult mind. I can't comprehend how so many of us humans can numb ourselves to the pain of our fellow earthling, no matter their species. We all have nervous systems. Our suffering is the same. The second instant reason that I realized was one of the reasons that I would become a vegetarian was that I would be relieved to no longer eat meat. And that was because of my health. I knew meat was not doing anything for my health, and my body internally rejoiced at the thought of no longer struggling to digest animal fleshes. And third, I sensed this decision had everything to do with my budding spiritual practice. I sensed that spiritual work and diet went hand in hand, and that this was the first thing that had to go in terms of my spiritual path. I was newly married and had a toddler son at the time. My husband was Jamaican, and we had certain meals we had always enjoyed, and foods that I would no longer be eating with him. Even though we still shared mealtime and I enjoyed the side dishes as always, my husband was not thrilled about it, but also not mad about it either. I first cut out totally beef and pork, my least favorite meats and the meats we ate least of. Over the next weeks and months, I cut out fish and chicken, and that was the end of my days eating meat, and that was 1997, 98. I was very ready to get this new diet of mine started and get this show on the road. I read some books on vegetarianism and learned that most meat-consuming humans, listen to this, that most meat-consuming humans die with approximately 7 pounds of undigested meat in their intestines. Meat trapped in there sometimes for months and years. Old meat. Meat stuck in the folds of the human intestines. Folds not present in the intestines of predatory species like lions, tigers, birds, and the like. I continued to cook meat for my husband and son, and after my marriage ended, I continued cooking it for my son as he grew up. It was only 3 years ago when my son moved out of my home into his own place that finally, officially, and irreversibly, my kitchen became a vegetarian kitchen. I had both support and lack of support along the way. An uncle of mine, my mom's brother, told my mom my vegetarianism was just a phase. I admired and loved him dearly, but never really got over the fact that he would make this remark. I felt it was so lacking in insight. Had he really known me, known my heart, acknowledged my heart and mind, he would have understood what a natural progression this was for me, for someone like me as a person. My parents were supportive. My mom learned to cook all kinds of different vegetarian dishes and still does to this day. The society at large is both supportive and hostile. Modern awareness of the horrors of factory farming are hard for people to ignore and deny for the sake of their continued cognitive dissonance. Some questions I have for myself and at large. Why had it not occurred to me until that moment of meeting a vegetarian that I could choose to not eat meat? Conditioning is the answer. We are conditioned to think we need 3 meals a day, and most of those meals include meat of some form in our modern day diet and our modern day technological factory farming system. Under the influence of family and social conditioning, we literally forget to think for ourselves. Here's another question. Why does the Holocaust of animals every single day, day in and day out, take place on this earth in front of our faces, and we collectively don't care? The majority of us don't care about factory farming of animals, mass slaughter, animal rape and artificial insemination, trauma and suffering. Because why? Because to most people, they are just animals. To me, they are species of peoples with the same right to live and die in their God-given habitat. Why do people continue to not just eat meat, but eat so much meat when even the medical industrial complex of horrors admits that meat causes cancer and heart disease? Really? It's because of addiction. That's the answer to that question, addiction. I see the same Atma or spiritual entity staring back at me no matter what animal or species I am looking at. The same Atma or spiritual entity is being subjected to the nature matrix that surrounds and controls us all in the form of our body and our mind. I feel sorry, pity, for every one of my fellow beings trapped in this seemingly God-forsaken realm we all find ourselves at the mercy of. That's why I'm a vegetarian, because we are all suffering a similar sentence, and I feel no need to eat any of you. You are a spirit in a meat body, and I try through my own push for evolutionary growth to not sink downwards into the hells of flesh consumption and continued reincarnation into a realm that supports trauma such as the one that we exist in right now. You are so much more than your earth body. I have no desire to eat you, and I won't pretend to in order to fit into a flesh-consuming matrix. And when it comes down to it, lest we forget that from the bottom to the top of the species, from the ants and the microorganisms to the very top of top predators and the human species, it is a dog-eat-dog world. Everything is eating everything else. That is the basis of the creation that we live in. That is the nature, the matrix that we live in. Everything, eating, everything else. So we have to aspire for more. And part of our aspiration for spiritual ascension is to up-level the quality of our vibration. Please see my Is It Your Vibration video. And if we up-level our vibration, increase our vibration, we have a better chance at ascension. Ascension doesn't just happen. Ascension is a reincarnation into a higher dimensional existence, a less traumatizing, less dense existence. So vegetarianism plays a very, very important part of our spiritual life and lifestyle. Not to mention all of the wonderful things that getting meat out of our diets can do for our health. At least so much meat. Meat should be, if it's going to be used at all, it should be used as a delicacy, a small amount on your plate, and a large amount of the nutrient-rich vegetables. So if you have anything you'd like to add, please share. I appreciate you listening. Have a wonderful day.